Good morning, everyone. I am Martin Zawojide. I'll be the host for today's section. I'm mostly being behind the veil, trying to reply queries from our participants today, but I'm not alone, actually. I will be with Mr. Ayomide Otokiti. Both of us are certified Lean Six Sigma Green Belt and Black Belt practitioners in Nigeria. We work with the thriving FMCG in Nigeria, and over the past few years, we've been working on projects relating to process improvement, process design, and product design. And I can say that I've collaborated with Mr. Ayomide for the past 2 years in project bordering on both companies that we work with, and I can vouch that it's actually quite grounded in the concepts in these particular areas. Both of us, like I mentioned earlier, are Six Sigma facilitators in our roles, and we felt the need that some of this knowledge can be shared with the outside world in the area of product design especially, and also in process improvement. So for today, Ayomide will be taking us through the concept of understanding what the customer wants. He's going to be taking us through the concept as much as he can, trying to show us the tools that are being used to get a structured approach to the solution. And I would also like to say that though I might sound a little down, Ayomide will be taking us through the concept in a much more astute and lively manner. So Ayomide, please take over. Take over the section.
Good morning, everyone. Good day to everyone joining me today. I really appreciate you guys for joining. Sincerely, you guys can understand how excited I am to be on this session with you guys. Like, it's a whole lot to me. So like my colleague and my host for today already stated, my name is Ayomide Otokiti. I am an electrical engineer by degree, but a process improvement engineer by profession. So just before I begin today, I would like to share a short story with you guys this morning. In 2019, as an employee of one of the fastest growing FMCGs in Nigeria, I attended a training. That was my first training being an employee of this organization. So the instructor, the facilitator of that program said something to we, a class of like 21%. He said a dissatisfied customer actually shares his experience with an average of 10 to 15%. To be more precise about what he said 13% of dissatisfied customers actually share his experience with 10 to 15 customers, with 10 to 15%. I really didn't get much grasp of that until I had my own share of dissatisfaction. So last year, December, just mid-December last year, I was preparing for an Owambe party with my mom. Actually, I was on my annual leave. So I had my agbada ready, but no sandal, no shoe to wear. So I went on Instagram. I went looking for this vendor. I need something very good that could actually suit this agbada I'm wearing. So he gave me the price. It was quite expensive, but then I said, if he's going to give value, then I should as well pay for it. I paid the money. 5 days after, he delivered the product. Believe me, the product was in good shape, looking very good, a brown sandal. And then so many people started asking me, where did you get this from? Who did this for you? I would like to do for my husband. I would like to do for my brother. So many people kept on asking me. So the next day, the vendor sent me a message on Instagram. I was like, hope you love the product. Hope it was in good shape. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not so good with giving reviews. I'm not quick to giving reviews. So I held that on. Unfortunately, you won't believe that 1 week into me putting on the sandal, the hook was broken. Then I was like, see this vendor, I'm not even giving him a review and the hook is broken. I indirectly discouraged every other person that was asking me and telling me they really love the sandal from patronizing him because I was not satisfied. I paid the price, but I didn't get the value for what I wanted. Now, I have a question to you, my customers, for today. What exactly do you think Nokia could have done differently that could have prevented them from failing or I would say that would have made them retain their share of the market, their customers? So just keep that question in mind. You really don't need to give me an answer, but just keep it in mind. What could Nokia have done differently that could have prevented them from failing or helped them in retaining their customers? This is taking me directly to my topic for today: discovering the product the customer wants. Discovering the product the customer wants. So you're my customers for today. So just move with me as we go into the webinar fully. So I'll be running you through the content for today's webinar, which is I'll be giving you an introduction into the topic in discovering the product the customer wants. Just basic introduction. Then we'll talk about discovering the problem. What exactly is it that tends to be the problem if we are trying to satisfy our customers? What exactly are we not getting right? Now, next is prioritizing the problem. After being able to find out the problem, we're not just going to try to solve everything. We give them priorities. I was in a webinar a few days ago, where the facilitator was saying something about being a product manager. One of the key things you need to know is how to prioritize the features of a product to which you want to give to your customer. The importance of that cannot be overemphasized. So once we prioritize this problem, we'll try to solve the problem as much as we can. I have several tools, which some of you might be familiar with, but believe me, it's going to be an interesting session. We'll put some tools to use and try to solve the problem that we prioritize. Then we'll go to scoping a minimum viable product that we want to give to our customers. Then next, we'll be going agile. So just join me as we go into this webinar fully. Now, I told you a story about me already. Now I'm going to be telling you a product story. Now the story is just basically about Nokia's rise and fall. So many of us know the story of Nokia, but we might not really understand what they did wrong. After that, I will tell you a story about the NYC taxi and the ride-hailing app Uber. Now, why I'm giving you a contrast to this is the fact that if you look at so many solutions that have been provided, they tend to be shifted towards the manufacturing industry, and you don't see more towards the service industry. So that's why I'm bringing these solutions, these two stories to board. So move with me. Once upon a time, there was a product called Nokia. Nokia was a brand that we felt they could do no wrong, but eventually they did. They went wrong at some point. Nokia would say they were a diversified market. They were into the phone manufacturing, the television manufacturing. At some point, we had the Nokia television in our house. They were into rubber making, so many things. They were just a diversified market, and they were really making huge profits. Just prior to the Soviet Union collapse in 1992, the demand for their products started dropping drastically. It started dropping drastically that they just needed to do something. So what they did was they had a change of management. Now the change of management came up with the idea, okay, we have to just focus on something. We cannot just keep going far and wide like this. So they decided to sell off all their other proceeds, the television brand, the rubber brand, everything they were doing aside the phone brand, they sold off. And believe me, this single action they did took their market share from 22% to 27% within a period of 6 years. They were already on 27%. And they even were able to overtake Motorola as one of the top phone manufacturers in the world. They were topping. So this was a groundbreaking era for them. They were topping the charters in 1998. They were doing so good. Now, one thing I need you to have in mind, which I believe everyone knows, Nokia phone was a very strong phone. In terms of durability, they were doing so well. Your Nokia phone, like the 310, it could drop to the ground and you still pick it. So they gave the customer what they wanted as regards durability. That was the trend as at then. You can agree with me that Facebook, Snapchat, and so many other things were not really in vogue then. So not so many people cared about those features, but they were focused on durability. But alongside, Nokia had it in mind that the future of the phone industry was lying so well in the software. So for Nokia's case, they knew the customers want. They knew what they wanted exactly. They knew it was a very easy to use kind of software. They knew it was a durable phone. But what exactly now went wrong? Now, between 2006 and 2004 to 2006, they were topping the charts. Now, you can agree with me, for us that play games, that was the period we had PS2 and the Xbox was reigning. They were really reigning at that point in time. Now, Nokia wanted a bite from that market share. They wanted a bite from the market share of the PS2 and the Xbox. Will I say they were doing Ojukoko? That's what I'll call it, because they were already topping the chart with 37% market share, and they still wanted to bite from that of PS2 and Xbox. Now, this is where they started going wrong. So they decided to design a product that could serve as a phone and also as a game, which is this product you can see on my screen. It's called the Engage. That was the product they designed. And it was a total design failure because it could not be used as a phone. It was not easy to use as a game also. So that was where their mistake started coming from. They knew what the customers wanted, but implementation and giving it to them the right way they wanted was the wrong problem. You can see how their market share now dropped drastically between a period of 2006 and 2008, from 37% down to 20%, just prior to the Apple releasing their own software, which is iOS, and Google releasing their own, the Android. This is the era, the 2008 era was when the battle of the OS began. So Nokia as a brand knew what the customers wanted, but they could not implement it and give to the customers exactly the way they wanted, which Apple and Google were able to do perfectly. So that summarizes the story of Nokia's rise and fall, how they started coming down in the market share. Now, moving to the service industry, we know about the ride-hailing app Uber. Now, what is the story behind the Uber design, the Uber app, how it came to play? Now, just two gentlemen in France, they were just stranded. We have them as one is Gareth and one is Travis. They were stranded. They went out one night and they were stranded. Just the same way you have ideas popping out of your head just when you are strolling or something. So the idea just came to them and they were like, can't I just request for a taxi just by clicking on my phone? And believe me, that is just it. So many other processes might have gone, but that was where the idea came up from, and that was how the implementation came up. Now, you know very well that the New York taxi was already existing way back before Uber came into play. They were already existing for a long period of time. But what exactly did Uber do differently from New York taxi that made them to overtake them in terms of the market share? Now, NYC taxi had some rigid system, I would say. It's called the medallion. So the medallion is something I would say like a driver's license. So it certifies you to drive. Now, it not only certifies you, you have to have passed the test. The test means you know the shortest route to all the locations within the city. That qualifies you. Once you pass the test, a medal is given to you as a medallion. Now, the funny thing about this medallion is the fact that if a medallion does not die, a new medallion cannot emerge. Just put it in this perspective. For those that are registering, putting up their cars for boats. Imagine they are telling you that if a boat driver does not die, a new boat driver cannot join. That is very absurd and a very wrong methodology, I would say. So if a medallion does not die, whosoever passes also all the certification processes and the test cannot become a medallion. So that was one of the rigidity Uber was able to remove from the system. Also, they have this fixed fare rate. It's quite unfair. If I'm going a long distance, I have to pay the same price as someone going a short distance. It doesn't really make so much of sense. And they could create some artificial traffic around this system also, where a medallion could just decide, I'm really not interested in going out today, so let me just keep my car at home. So everyone is stranded outside, no cab, no fare, nothing. So these were the rigidities in the system of the New York taxi that Uber came in to solve. Now, see the difference between the Nokia story and the Uber story. Nokia knew what the customers wanted, but they could not implement it. Uber, in this case, they capitalized on a failing product, on a failing services, which was NYC taxi that was not satisfying the customer. And they implemented solutions that could actually satisfy the customer. You can see very well how they were able to overtake a New York taxi in terms of patronage over a period of just between 2014 and 2018, just 4 years. You're already hitting 50 million users in 4 years. That's a lot to say about their strategy and how they came about. Now, this leads me to the point said by one of the richest men in the world, Warren Buffett. He said, value is anything the customer is willing to pay for. Value is anything the customer is willing to pay for. You give them value and they will continue to come back. They will definitely continue to come back. Now, Moving next is the fact that a customer's wants would actually be very hard to measure. Let me just remind you, one of our greatest entrepreneurs, Henry Ford, he said something. If I had asked my customers what they wanted, maybe they will have said faster horses. That's quite funny because I don't think that is true, even coming from one of the top businessmen in the world. If he had asked them what exactly they wanted, they might not have been able to tell him something with combustion engine, but believe me, they will have said, I wanted a faster means of transportation, but then not faster horses. Now, look at this example. A customer is coming to you. I want a good pizza. Believe me, as a customer, I know what I want as a good pizza. I know what a good pizza means. But then, as someone that is offering the service, I have my own preference. The customer has his own preference. So if I judge the customer based on my own preference, definitely I will not be able to satisfy this customer. So in order to break this hard to measure requirements of a customer into easy to measure requirements, there are drivers that we use. Under this particular request by the customer, it can be classified under cost, delivery, and quality under this particular need of the customer. Now, how do we now break it down to easy to measure requirements by the customer? What exactly can we give to them that will make them satisfied? So under cost, we give them so many options. Delivery, we give them, we want something that will come to you in 1 hour, or you want it in 30 minutes. That determines the price range of what you are delivering to them. Now, if I had judged the customer based on my own preference, I might have loved a pizza with thick crust. But my customer is saying, I want thin crust with a lot of cheese. Then at the end of the day, I deliver thick crust. He's never satisfied. He doesn't actually get satisfied with the product I offer to him. At the end of the day, I'm not able to satisfy him. So this hard to measure requirements, there's a need to break them into easy to measure requirements so that you yourself can satisfy your customer. Now, I'll be moving into the case study for today. We already spoke about the customer requirements and how they could actually be hard to measure. Now, so many of you must have filled a questionnaire I shared a few weeks back. I sent out a questionnaire like that, not knowing that I'll be using it today, but I had the aim of using it today. So many people filled without knowing it was actually meant for this webinar. So the case study for today is, you are my customers. We want to build a phone with you, a phone that you will get if you are meant to buy a phone next, if you are meant to buy a phone in the nearest future. What are the qualities of this phone that you would love to have, that you will need to be in this phone before you purchase them? So I sent out a questionnaire, a survey, just to get the customer's feedback. I need to listen to my customers before I'm able to build this product. So now, next on this thing is, how do I listen to you? I already told you I sent out a survey, but there are various ways to which I can listen to you. I can get feedback from you. That is what I call listening to the market. Listening to the market. So in terms of listening to the market, for me, what I used was a survey, a questionnaire. I drafted a questionnaire and sent it out to the general public so that they could actually give me their feedback and we could build a product in that regard. So now you can look at customers' complaints and feedback. One of the banks currently are owing me money and they refuse to answer me. I've sent them a lot of complaints on Twitter, sent them a mail telling them I don't have money now, but eventually I will have money and they will know that I will actually have money. So this is one thing that you could capitalize upon, customer complaints and feedback as to listening to your market. You could also use market surveys, target a particular market based on segmentation, and you could get concrete responses from them. Opinion polls, analyzing a filling of field product. Now, in terms of this analyzing a filling of field product, this takes us back to the Uber story. The New York taxi was the failing product because they were not giving the customers what they wanted, but people had no other option. So they were able to analyze the constraints of the New York taxi and capitalized on that. You could also use the paper questionnaire, like I said earlier, one-on-one dialogue, e-forms, data mining from mass media, influencer followership, so many things that I'm sure we all are aware of as to how to get feedback from our customers. Now, this leads me to a Latin saying, said vox de populi, vox dei. It means the voice of the people is the voice of God. This shows that it's actually something divine. Listening to the people is something divine. You have to listen to them, get feedback from them, and then you're able to satisfy them. You're able to give them exactly what they want. Vox de populi, vox dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. So let's move on to the next saying, which is we've been able to talk about ways to listen to our customers. Now, how do I categorize and extract the CTQs? There's a saying, errors like straws upon the surface flow, he who must find pearls must dive below. So diving below to find the pearls is basically digging deep into the throat of your customers to get feedback from them. Just a similar example like I shared earlier is that of the customer wanting a pizza, but that was a very hard to measure requirement. So I had to break that down into easy to measure requirements. Now, just a similar example, like our case study today is getting a good phone. Want to buy a mobile phone. I want to buy a good mobile phone. What are the drivers that I can use to break this hard to measure into easy to measure requirements? So this is just an example. We'll be looking at a live situation, a practical session as to how to break this down into easy to measure requirements. So just move with me as we proceed. Now I've talked about discovering the problem. You've been able to get feedback from your customers. They've complained to you a lot. Now, how do we prioritize this problem? How exactly are we able to? Because we cannot solve what the problem the customer is talking about. Which one is of topmost importance to them? That is how we have to prioritize the problem. So now there's a model in which we are going to use today. It's called the Kano Model. Maybe some of you might be quite conversant with this model, believe me, but we're not going to stop here. So the Kano Model was designed by a professor called Noriaki Kano. So it was with the aim of looking at what performance of a product or service would actually give satisfaction or dissatisfaction to the customer. So he was able to categorize that so that we don't just end up solving all the customer requirements and we're way above budget. So that was what he put into consideration. Don't let us just take all the customer requirements. Yes, we've gotten feedback from them, but some things are just not relevant. Some things are not of importance to them. They just stated it. Now, first on the list is what I will call the must be quality. If you are taking a product, that is what we call the must be quality. It has to be there, whether you like it or not. Imagine buying a phone and it has no charging port. What am I meant to use to charge the phone? That's what I will ask who I'm buying it for. Like, do I bring it back to you every time I need to charge the phone if my battery gets drained? So this is the must be quality. It's rated a 5 on the Canon model. It must be or the must have. A drop in must be will definitely cause dissatisfaction in your customers. But the more of the must be you give necessarily does not increase their satisfaction, that I would say. So next on the list is what I would call the one-dimensional. One-dimensional is the desired quality of this your phone. One-dimensional is the desired quality of this your phone. Or basically, it's called the more of this you give, the more the satisfaction, and the less you give, the more the dissatisfaction. So when I say desired quality, it is what is meant to be in a phone. That is what they desire as your customers. That is what should be in the product you are offering to them. And on the Canon model, that is rated a 3 and a 4. Yes, as we proceed, I would like you giving your comments on the chat session. If you have any ideas, if you have some feedback, just drop them in the chat session. It will actually do me a lot of good. So next on this is what we call the delighter quality. Now, the delighter quality is if you don't give me, I'm okay. But now that I'm seeing it, I think I actually like it. So the customers really didn't know they wanted it. But now that they are seeing it, they actually love it. So it's called the attractive or delighter quality. I didn't know I wanted it, but I actually like it. So it's okay. So it's rated a 2 on the Canon model. It's rated a 2 on the Canon model. Then we have the last, but not the least, on the Kano Model classification, which is indifferent. It really does not matter if it is absent or present. They really don't care about it. You can see the need for why we need to prioritize the customer's problem. Because some things, they really don't care about it, but they're just voicing out, they're just giving their views as to, okay, this thing could have been there, could have been in this product. So these are the basic classifications for the Kano model once you are trying to prioritize your customer's needs. Now, I want you to understand that there's this trend for dynamism in the market of today. Look at Nokia's story. There must be, which was durability, ended up being an indifferent quality, ended up being a delighter. So you have to understand that your must be today can become a delighter. It can become one-dimensional. It can become something that is just, they are indifferent about. So the trend shifted from durability to software interface, to good camera qualities. That was what the customers were looking for, but they were unable to implement it. So as product managers, as engineers, a business owner, you have to understand and continue to listen to your customers consistently, because this there's a dynamism in the market where the must be can become indifferent tomorrow, can become delighters tomorrow. So that trend in the market, you have to monitor closely so that you can continuously give your customers what they want. We've been able to classify the Kano model. Now, I already told you something about the Kano model. I said I sent out a survey a few weeks back. So I'll be sharing with you your own responses. You are my customers for today. So you've given me responses already based on the survey I sent out, and I've been able to classify them under the Kano model. So if you look at it, this is just a short glimpse of how I was able to draft my own questionnaire. So these are the few points I was aiming at. I was framing my questions to get clear answers. I framed them in the Kano model way, but not with the Kano model methodology, because not everybody understands the Kano model. So I just put questions that would also take me back to the rating on the Kano model. So these were the questions I sent out, which I'm sure so many of you might be able to relate with. Now, we'll just go through the responses of this question, the response we got from our customers, which are you people for today. So just a short clip, you understand how this rating goes as regards the Kano model. So the first question is, what are your thoughts on long battery life for your next phone? So one is, without this product, it is useless to me. You can agree with me that without this product is useless to me tends to be the must be quality in the Kano model classification. We'll love this if I don't have to pay much for it. That tends to be the delighter quality in the model classification. More of this will make me love the product to the more, even more, tends to be the one-dimensional quality in the Kano model classification. And I don't really care about this feature. That is indifferent, which is rated a 1. So from here, you can see more of this will make me love the product even more, was the response from the customers, the survey we got. 57% said more of this will make me love the product even more, which is why it is rated 4. If you can remember, Canon Model classification is 5, 3, and 4, 2, and 1. So more of this will make me love the product even more. They've rated that on a 4. So just very quickly, you go through these few questions which the customers have given responses to. Next on the list is, what are your thoughts on fast charging for your next phone? They are still giving it a 4. More of this will make me love the product even more. They've rated it a 4. Now, I did not just give my own preference to these answers, but these responses were basically what I got from the market. I didn't use so much of wait for so much of responses, but we can use this. So the next is, what are your thoughts on bigger screen size for your next product? See the response. They said, I don't really care about this feature. They are indifferent about whether big screen size or small screen size. Now, some of you might not agree with this response, but this is what the market is saying. Maybe if we use a larger market, we can get larger responses. So that we don't waste so much of time, these were the questions we sent out. Your thoughts on long battery life, faster charging, bigger screen size, better durability, faster internet connectivity, low cost of purchase, established brand name, higher performance or speed, better picture quality. You can see here, you can see on my screen that we've given them these Kano categories based on the Kano model we learned earlier. The longer battery life, the customers told me it's one-dimensional from their responses. They said, more of this will make me love the product even more. So we've rated it a 4 based on Canon model classification. Faster charging was also given one-dimensional. Bigger screen size was given indifferent. Better durability, we're able to go through these 3 so you get a glimpse of what I'm talking about. Faster internet connectivity, they gave it a must be. Low cost of purchase, they gave it a delighter. Established brand name, they gave it a delighter. High performance or speed. Now you can see a delighter is coming as 2 here. That is because we had a close marking between the delighter and the indifferent. Yes, the delighter is rated a 2, the indifferent is rated a 1. So we have the higher performance or speed. They rated it as it must be. better picture quality, they rated it as one-dimensional. So moving forward, I believe I've been able to explain how to prioritize your customers' requirements. So you don't just go ahead to solving all these customers' requirements. Don't just go ahead, okay, they've said this, I've gotten this feedback from the market, and let me just try to give solutions to all these problems. It doesn't work like that. Now, we will not be stopping here, but I would like if we could give feedbacks. Maybe you have just few questions to ask as regards this model of Kano model classification for your customer request. So very shortly, we'll just take a few questions if there's any, before we move to the next section of solving the problem. So if I have any questions from my customers for today, you can post that in the chat section while I try to answer the questions. So just one question is saying, considering the Nokia and the NYC taxi story, was it a case of knowing what the customers wanted, or more a case of the lightest quality as highlighted in the Kano model? I don't think the customers really cared about all those features in the iOS and Android OS until it became available to them, same as Uber. Yes, you are very right, Isaac, which I must agree with you. But if you look at the Nokia story, the peculiarity with the Nokia story is the fact that there's one thing I saw, which I read up about. The iPad that you see Apple giving us now, it was said that Nokia actually had the prototype of that product years back before it came out. So they had the idea, but they never implemented it. They had all the things the customers wanted, but they were just slow in implementation. They were not giving it to them. Now, Apple and Google, I would say, they had the idea also. But implementation, you cannot be so sure of the market response once you try to implement a solution. But not trying at all could as well make you lose your share of the market. Could as well make you not see what exactly the customers want. So trying is what Apple and Google went ahead with doing, but Nokia failed in that perspective. So I believe I've been able to answer that question. So if there's any other question before we continue this webinar, I would like you to just let me know very quickly, just a few more minutes to take any other questions that are available. So you can just post up your questions very quickly. So I believe I've been able to answer your question, Isaac. If there are no further questions, so permit me to continue my explanation. So far so good. I think there's one more question. Good morning. What would be the best decision to take as regards a patented product which you designed and you do not have enough funding for mass production? Outright sale of the product or licensing image rights? So now, what would you do? What would be the best decision to take as regards a patented product? Now you patented the product, it could go as well as trying to partner. Partnership is always or looking for investors as regards the product. If you are actually sure, yes, I have an idea and I want to push it out. There are so many platforms for which you can pitch your ideas and investors could actually give you the funding you need. There's one I used to see then, Dragon Cell or something on DSTV then. So they give platforms to people that have brilliant ideas and they want to implement, they want to put a solution to some problems some people are facing. So you could also consider outright sale of this product. If you can see so many startups, after a few years, they sell it off because maybe they feel they could actually start something else with the money that is being gotten. So it depends on your preference itself. If you feel this product that I've put out, I really have interest in it and I would like to look at how it's going to go over a period of time. Look at partnership with a set of investors or consider outright sale of the product. So I believe I've been able to give some answers to the questions so far. So we'll be taking, is the Canon model really in use today? Because it seems companies try to predict and they give us product they think is best. Believe me, Canon model is actually in use today. That Kano model was used by the Pakistan airline. They were trying to, because so many airlines are there, so they were trying to create a model to which they could retain their customers. So they tried this model which actually worked for them. So believe me, Dami, this model, this kind of model is actually in use today. So so that we don't waste so much of time, so that we get straight to the talk for the day, which is the interactive session I'll be having today. Solving the problem. You were flowing with me. For those that were sleeping, we are trying to solve the problem. Now we've been able to prioritize the customer's wants as regards the Kano model. Now these customers want, how do we solve them in order of priority? How do we actually try to solve them? Now I'll be using a tool which is called the quality function deployment. That is what the tool is called, quality function deployment. What does this quality function deployment do? Basically, we've listened to our customers, we've prioritized them. Now, it does not stop there. You don't just prioritize your customers' requirements, because some things are interrelated. So what the QFD does is converting the customer's requirements into technical requirements. You're converting your voice of customers into technical requirements, like we saw in the case of the pizza. Technical requirements are stated by the subject matter expert. So you convert VOC, which is your voice of customer, to your CTQs. So what exactly are we talking about when we mean technical requirements? Like I said, for you to list out a technical requirement, the technical requirement for a product, it has to be you as a subject matter expert, either as a product manager, a product developer, an engineer. You are the one who is going to design the product. You have a team of persons working with you on each and every specification of this product. So you have to know your technical requirements. Everything has to be listed out in detail. So you have the direct feature requirements and you have the implied feature requirements. So under direct feature requirements, like you just see here, battery capacity and size, OS design, storage capacity, RAM capacity, CPU specification. All these are the direct feature requirements that you take as technical requirements for a product. Then you have implied feature requirements. For example, I have my iPhone and it's telling me I could actually have some add-ons as some home automation device will be added to my phone. That is implied feature requirements. It's having some add-ons compatibility. So as a subject matter expert, there's a need to know your technical requirements if you are going to convert your voice of customers into technical requirements, into critical to quality requirements, which is the CTQs. So just a glimpse at what we have a list of technical requirements. I'm sure for the service industry to be different, for the manufacturing industry to be different. But as a subject matter expert, make it something very important that you have to do before you go ahead with implementation. Now, I showed you the QFD looking like a house. Exactly that is how it looks. Now, you have so many things written on my screen. Don't be scared. It's something very easy, which I will try as much as possible to break down into bits for you to understand. Now, there are steps to which you take to solve and convert voice of customers to technical requirements. So you use the QFD, but there are steps to which you take. Number one on the list is you first of all list out your customer requirements. We've done this already. This has been listed based on the survey we sent out. So we're able to list out our customer requirements. Number two on the list is customer importance. I believe I already explained that also under the Kano Model classification. So customer's importance is prioritizing your customers' wants using the Kano Model classification. Next is relative weight. So relative weight is just basic maths. You are taking the total of your customers' importance. You are taking the total of your customers' importance and you are dividing each and every customer's requirements by the total, multiplying by 100. So let's say this total of this is, let's say, a 40, and you divide 5 by 40, multiply by 100. I'm just giving an example, it's going to give you a 10%. So that's how you assign relative weights to each and every customer requirement. So next on the list is number 4, which I already stated. List out your technical requirements before you try to use a QFD. List them out as much as possible. Now, as a subject matter expert, you have a team you are working with. So you know each and every person working on everything as per customers' technical requirements. So list them out as many as they could be before you go ahead. Number 5 is now We've listed our customer requirements, we've given them importance, we've given them relative weight, we've listed out our technical requirements. What next do? We try to establish a relationship. Like I said earlier, there is a relationship between one or two customer requirements. There's a relationship between your customer requirement and your technical requirement. So there's a need to actually establish a relationship. You can see the red box by my right. It's giving weightages to this relationship in terms of strong relationship, medium relationship, and weak relationship. So we'll be having some polls coming up so that you tell me what is the relationship between this customer requirement and the technical requirement as we go on. So a strong relationship is rated a 9, a medium relationship is rated a 3, and a weak relationship is rated a 1. So next is giving relative weight to this relationship also. So you understand that what we just did here was multiplying our customers' importance by our technical requirement. That's our relationship. Just the same way we did for our relative weight for customers' importance. So I'm multiplying the weightage of customer importance with the weightage of the relationship to get the score. So the same way we will assign percentages. We understand as we proceed. Believe me, I will take you through. Now, what do I mean? That's the next thing on the screen is number 7, which is direction of improvement. So you've listed out all your technical requirements. Now, what do you mean by direction of improvement? You have a technical requirement, let's say camera quality, I'll say, for example. Do you want to maximize the improvement? Do you want to leave it as target or minimize it? When I say maximize the improvement, you can see the trend now is everybody's looking for good camera qualities. They're looking for camera qualities that are actually top notch. So when I say target means what is the trend of the market? Maybe in terms of phone capacity. The trend is, let's say, maximum of 256 gig for iPhones. That's the trend. So we maintain that target for the market. We're not improving that. Or do we want to minimize a particular requirement, a particular technical requirement in this specification, this technical requirement that we listed? We want to minimize it. So it's just falling under 3 categories: maximize, leave it as target, or you try to minimize it. Now, last on the list is the roof of this house itself, where we try to establish a correlation between these technical requirements. I told you they are related one way or the other. So this correlation tries to explain that if I improve on one technical requirement, is it going to affect a list of other technical requirements? Is it going to have an effect? So maybe I improve on one and it's not having an effect on any other technical requirement. But I improve on another thing, maybe technical requirement 3, but it's having a positive effect on 4 other technical requirements. Yes, I can go with improving that instead of improving one that is not having any other correlation. So that is basically what I mean. So you either have a positive correlation, negative correlation, or no correlation at all. We will go through a practical session just in a few minutes now. I'll take you to a practical session. So this is just, I told you it's not difficult to understand. So just flow with me. Now, this is our case study for today. I'm sure we've seen all these customer requirements before. Just one moment. We've listed out all these customer requirements in the previous slides that I showed you. Long battery life, faster charging, bigger screen size, better durability, all these have been listed. Just so not to waste so much of our time, that's why I put in this thing so that we can move very quickly. Now, I did the next thing by giving the customer importance. We've done that using the Kano model already, so it's not something new to us anymore. We already understand that. And for anybody that doesn't get the point, maybe some few people are just joining, we could actually have your questions rolling in at the end of the session. So customers' importance you assign, and relative weight you assign. So the total of this, like I was saying, how to get your relative weight. So I'll be making some inscriptions on my screen so that we can easily understand what I'm talking about. So relative weight basically, so the first thing I have here is a 4. So how do I get a 14%? So it's just 4 divided by 29 multiplied by 100 will give me a 13.79%. So approximately a 14% if you agree with me. So that is how I assign my relative weightages for everything under the relative weight. So we've been able to do customer requirement listing. That is number 1 step. Customers important prioritization based on Canon Model. That is the 2nd step. Next is relative weight. Now number 4 says, if you can remember the process to which we followed, list out your technical requirements. Now my technical requirements, I don't build phones. But I've tried as much as possible to list out a few technical requirements so that I don't waste so much of time. That is number 4 on the list. List out your technical requirements. So please, as product managers, as engineers, web developers, anything at all, you are building a product or you're offering a service, do well to prioritize your customer requirement, prioritize your technical requirements, list all your technical requirements out before you try to implement or solve anything with the QFD, with the quality function deployment, before you try to convert your customer's requirements into technical requirements. So now this is where we'll be actually going to some engaging sessions, just very shortly. So we're trying to go to the next thing, which says establish a relationship. Top left of my screen, you can see what the relationship weightages are. So I'll try to the best of my knowledge to assign weightages to this relationship between the customer requirement and the technical requirement. So the first customer requirement says longer battery life with relationship to battery capacity and size. So now the question is, what would you say is the relationship between longer battery life and battery capacity and size? Try to understand the question correctly. Longer battery life, is it having any relationship with my battery capacity and size? Yes, it has a relationship. The higher the capacity of my battery, the longer my battery will last. Even though I'm using it so well, so much, it's actually going to last. So I will assign a strong relationship to this. So I'm giving it a 9 weightage. So it is being colored the black box. The black circle is being colored. So the next is longer battery life with phone power consumption. So is there a relationship between longer battery life and phone power consumption? Yes. The more your phone consumes power determines how well your battery will last. So this is also giving a strong relationship. I just want to run through this very fast so that I don't waste so much of time. Now, longer battery life and OS design. I might be wrong to this judgment, but some few polls will come up so that you can give me, as per my own customers, what do you think is the relationship? Longer battery life and OS design. Some OS designs will make your phone to consume more power also, and your battery will drain quite fast. So I'll give that also a strong relationship. Now, longer battery life and charger power rating. I would say charger power rating does not determine how long my battery will last. Charger power rating will not determine how long my battery will last. Someone said I'm not so loud anymore, so I want to know if you can still hear me. I want to know if you can still hear me now. So sorry about that. Charger power rating does not have any relationship with longer battery life. Longer battery life and camera specification. Camera specification, I would say yes. If my camera is actually a high performance camera, my battery will also drain quite fast. So I'll give that, I'll give that a, sorry, just a moment, please. I'll give that camera specification a medium relationship. So these are basically my own judgment. So you give me some answers very soon. Longer battery life and CPU performance, I'll give a medium relationship. Longer battery life with RAM capacity, no relationship. With storage capacity, no relationship. Now, let me push out a poll. I want your responses as my audience. What would you say of the relationship between longer battery life as a customer requirement and internet connectivity chip specification as a technical requirement? So just give me your responses very quickly on the poll. You can, I'm sure the poll is live now, you can see the poll. So what do you think is the relationship between longer battery life and internet connectivity chip specification? I've seen one poll come in as a weak relationship, okay? Strong relationship, strong relationship. In the next 10 seconds, I'll be ending the poll. So I would want every one of us to answer the poll very quickly. The relationship between longer battery life and internet connectivity chip specification. So I'll be ending the poll now. So now the poll is giving me a 45%. So based on the number of persons that answered. So I could not take so much of time with that. So I'll just go with medium relationship. I'll go with medium relationship as regards this. So I'll stick with medium relationship for my internet connectivity chip specification. Longer battery life and customer support has no relationship. So next on the list is faster charging with battery capacity and size. faster charging with battery capacity and size has no relationship. Faster charging with phone power consumption has no relationship, in my own opinion. So once you sit down with your team, you can decide which has a relationship and which does not more accurately. Faster charging and OS design, yes, it could actually have a medium relationship, I would say. Faster charging and charger power rating, obviously, that is a very strong relationship. That is what you give as a very strong relationship. So faster charging and camera specification has no relationship. CPU performance has no relationship. RAM capacity, storage capacity, internet, all these have no relationship with faster charging. Now, if you look at this, so that we don't waste so much of time, bigger screen size has no relationship with battery capacity. It has no relationship with phone power consumption, nothing to do with OS design, nothing to do with charger power rating, nothing to do with camera specification, nothing to do with CPU performance, nothing to do with RAM capacity, storage capacity, and all this. So don't be scared, because you find out that some customer requirements have nothing to do with your technical requirements at all. That is why we needed to prioritize all those technical requirements. They actually don't have anything to do with your technical requirement at all. So you just go ahead. Better, we'll move to the next thing, which says, sorry, just one moment. So the next is better durability. Durability has nothing to do with any of these technical requirements also. So once you sit with your team, you can have a wider scope of technical requirements, and you can link all these customer requirements to them. So faster internet connectivity, just very quickly, you can see faster internet connectivity solely depends on the internet connectivity chip performance, so that we don't waste so much of time. Now I'll be setting out another poll for low cost of purchase. Now, low cost of purchase and battery capacity and size. Battery capacity and size actually also, I would say, has just a medium relationship, if I would say, with battery capacity and size and low cost of purchase. Phone power consumption, not really. So everybody is just trying to create a product that will consume minimum power. Low cost of purchase and OS design, I would say I'll give it a medium. OS design also determines the price. Low cost of purchase and charger power rating, definitely no. Low cost of purchase and camera specification, yes, that's a strong relationship, I would say. Low cost of purchase and CPU performance, yes, we will give it, let's say, a weak relationship. A weak relationship will give that. So I'll be sending out a poll now as regards low cost of purchase to storage capacity. So what do you think is the relationship between low cost of purchase and storage capacity? The poll has been launched. Just very quickly, so that we can have very quick answers. What do you think is the relationship between low cost of purchase and storage capacity as a technical requirements? Just very quickly, in 30 seconds, I'll be ending the poll. So try to give the responses as quick as possible, so that we don't waste too much of time. Low cost of purchase and storage capacity. Next 5 seconds, I'll be ending the poll. Try to give your responses as fast as we can. Low cost of purchase and storage capacity. So what do you think is the relationship between low cost of purchase and storage capacity? So I'll be ending the poll now. So seeing the results on your screen, you can see customers have voted medium relationship between low cost of purchase and storage capacity. So low cost of purchase and storage capacity, they've assigned a medium relationship. Sorry about that. Low cost of purchase, they've assigned a medium relationship. So we'll just quickly give that a medium relationship. Low cost of purchase. Another poll is coming out now very quickly, so that we can actually move ahead very quickly. We have just a few minutes. So what do you think is the relationship between low cost of purchase and internet connectivity chip specification? Low cost of purchase and internet connectivity chip specification. Very quickly, let me see the polls rolling out. Low cost of purchase and internet connectivity chip specification. In the next 10 seconds, I'll be ending the poll. So please just give your responses as quick as possible. low cost of purchase, and internet connectivity chip specification. So yes, just a few more responses and I'll end the poll. Low cost of purchase and internet connectivity chip specification. So ending the poll now, my customers are saying it's a strong relationship. For those that voted a strong relationship, so we are saying low cost of purchase has a strong relationship with internet connectivity chip specification. It indirectly has no relationship with low customer support. So the next year is established brand name with battery capacity and size has no relationship. Phone power consumption has no relationship. Now, the last poll for this session, which I'll be pushing out now, the last poll for this session, which I'll be pulling out now, is what is the relationship between established brand name and OS design? OS design as a technical requirement. So just very quickly, that's the last poll for this session so that we can end the session very quickly. What is the relationship between established brand name and OS design? What do you think? If I'm going to purchase a phone, do I look at the established brand name because I know they will actually give me a very good OS. Their OS is very compatible and user-friendly. So what's your relationship? What do you choose as a relationship between established brand name and OS design? So I have so many people going for strong relationship. So I'll stick with a strong relationship for established brand name and OS design as a strong relationship. So established brand name and charger power rating, camera specification, yes, it's a strong relationship. So I won't be setting out any polls again, but so that we don't have to waste so much of time. So established brand name, CPU performance, RAM capacity, storage capacity. I'll give a medium here, established brand name and storage capacity, established brand name and internet customer support, all those. Now, high performance or speed. High performance and speed has a good relationship, will I say a strong relationship with OS design. High performance also has a strong relationship with RAM capacity, yes. High performance also has a relationship with camera spec, a medium relationship with camera specification. High performance also has a medium relationship with phone power consumption, a medium relationship. Now, better picture quality. Aside all this, the only factor that relates with better picture quality is a strong relationship with camera specification, which determines your better picture quality. Now, we've been able to give ratings to this, relationship ratings to this. Like you can see at the top left side of my screen, what it actually means to give relationship ratings to all your customer and technical requirements. You've been able to do that. So how do we now give importance rating? How do we give the relative weights to this? So easily, I would like you giving me the answers from the screen, from the chat session. If you can just post up the answers while we try to calculate this. So just tell me the answers. It will be, I'll try to solve one. So how we do it is the customer importance multiplied by the rating of this. A shaded block is rated 9. So it is 9 by 4, which is 36, plus the next thing here is a medium importance, which is rated a 3. 3 by 2, 3 by 2, which is 3 by 2, which is 6. So we have 6. 36 plus 6 is giving me a 42 rating. So I guess we understand what I mean by this importance rating. So if you can just be giving me the answers to the second one in the screen, I'll really love that. If you can give me the answer to the next one, 9 by 4 plus 3 by 5. What would that answer be? In the chat section, you can drop the answer very quickly. 9 by 4 plus 3 by 5. 9 by 4 plus 3 by 5, just so that it can be engaging. 9 by 4 plus 3 by 5 in the chat section. So 9 times 4, 36 plus 3 by 5. Okay, I can see responses coming in. That's a 51. Okay, the next option, the next option, you can just go ahead and try to solve that while I write out the answers here. That's a 51. Next option, do we have somebody that has the answer to that? A 9 by 4 plus a 3 by 4 plus another 3 by 2, a 9 by 2, then a 9 by 5. If you have the answers to that, please just give me very quickly. 9 by 4 plus a 3x4, 3x2, 9x2, and 9x5. Do we have an answer to that? I think someone is giving me the answer here already. Okay. Okay, I think my host has been able to give me the answers to all this so that I don't waste so much of time. So we have bigger screen size coming as 117. This is coming as 117. Sorry, just keep on touching my screen. 117, he has said 117. He has given this a 36. What is the next thing, which is camera specification? Durability 36, faster internet connectivity. Sorry. So this is a 0. A 0. This is a 75%. He gave me a 75 here. He gave me a 12 here. He gave me a 45 here. He gave me a 14 here. And he gave me a 99 here. So in terms of weightages, so the total of these numbers, just the same way we give relative weightages for that. So the same way you are going to assign relative weightages and assign percentages. So not to waste so much of time, this is going to give me a 9%. This is going to give me a 9%. This is going to give me a 10%. This is going to give me a 24%. This is going to give me a 7%. This is going to give me a 20%. This is going to give me a 3%. This is going to give me a 9%. Then a 2%. Then we have 2 more, which comes as 15%, and then 0. So we've been able to solve all this in total. Thank you very much for your responses from the chat section. So this is how we're able to give the relative weightages to the relationship part of this QFD function. We are way beyond our schedule, but please, you just give me a little bit of time to wrap this up. So we've been able to give relative weightages to this. Now, the next thing I said about the QFD is we have to check the direction of improvement, which is the top part of my screen you can see here, just directly under the technical requirements text. Direction of improvement. So we'll look at each of these technical requirements and check what is the direction of improvement for each and every one of them. Yes, so many people might want to just pick up the technical requirement from the list of the ones having higher relative weights, but it doesn't just go like that. The QFD has the process steps that you have to complete before you decide to choose which technical requirement is the minimum viable one to use to satisfy your customer. So in terms of direction of improvement, battery capacity and size, are we trying to, moving forward, let me just take you to the next session so that we can understand what I'm talking about. So I will try to erase this from my screen, from workings from my screen, so that you can see clearly, so that we can easily see what we're doing. So now you can see what I mean by direction of improvement. Either we're maximizing it, we're leaving it as a target, or we're trying to minimize this custom technical requirement. So look at the first thing, which says battery capacity and size. Are we trying to maximize it, leave it as target, or minimize it? You agree with me that battery capacity and size is being left as a target in the market of today. So battery capacity and size, just one moment, please. Battery capacity and size is being left as targets. So you can see that it's giving an empty box. Phone power consumption, definitely everyone is trying to reduce their phone power consumption. So you can see the direction in which that is going. OS design, yes, everybody is trying to improve on their OS design. Yes, that is also going to an improvement. Charger power rating, they are leaving that as a target if you ask me. camera specification, that's the trend of the market now. So you agree with me that everybody is trying to give the maximum picture quality for their phones, which has a relationship with the camera spec. CPU performance, that is also everybody trying to increase the performance of their CPUs with less power consumption. So if there are any comments, if there are any questions, you can go ahead and start dropping them before we wrap up the session. RAM capacity, everyone is also, most times I will say they are trying to leave this as a target in terms of RAM capacity. Or let's say they are trying to improve that. So this will get more accurate and good answers if you are sitting with your team. Storage capacity, I will leave as a target. Internet connectivity chip specification, I'll tell you they are trying to improve on this every time. The 5G is coming into play. Customer support is being left as a target. They are saying if your phone gets bad, aside the OS, I'm not going to be fixing any other thing. So I think some corrections were made to the percentages that they gave earlier. So I'll just make a few corrections, or we just go with the flow basically. 10%, 24%, 7%, 20%, 3%, 9%, 2%, 15%, 0. Okay. I think we are good to go. So we've been able to give the direction of improvement to this technical requirement. We've been able to give all direction of improvements. So I think that is very clear for everyone that is on this session with me. You can understand the process to which we came about to get to this stage. First, we listed our customer requirements. We gave them customer importance based on the Kano rating. We gave them relative weight, which is basic mass. We listed out our technical requirements. Next, we did a relationship. That was where I put out the polls for my customers themselves to give me the relationship between their customer requirements and the technical requirements, of which we later went ahead to giving relative weights, which my host was able to give me answers to all those based on, not to waste so much of our time. And now we've gotten to the direction of improvement. We've given that also. Last but not the least, on the QFD flow is giving the correlation matrix. So we're trying to establish a correlation between each and every technical requirement. We're trying to establish a correlation between each and every technical requirement. So now, very quickly, because this, I don't want to waste too much of our time, we're way above our time schedule. So I will take each and every customer requirement. So the flow is this customer, this roof here is where we are going to be using for this. So my roof here is what we'll be using. So you can see the battery capacity and size is falling into this box. Phone power consumption is falling into this box. OS design is here. Charger power rating is here. This is here, this here, this here, this here, this here, and this here. So now I will take my battery capacity and size and try to establish a correlation between it and other technical requirements. So all the relationship I'm trying to establish will come into this box. So battery capacity and size. Does it have any correlation between phone power consumption? If you are going to ask me, you can give your responses in the chat session. So battery capacity and size, can we establish a correlation that, yes, the lesser my phone consumes power, the better my battery capacity and size? I will tell you it's no correlation. Your battery capacity doesn't determine if your phone consumes power or not. That is not a relationship, a correlation at all. So we'll give that no correlation. There is no correlation that will go into this box. Next is battery capacity and size with OS design. Battery capacity and size has nothing to do. Battery capacity and size is just determined by, do you want your battery to last longer? Do you want a more battery capacity? So it has no relationship with this also. Battery capacity and size also has no correlation with charger power rating. That doesn't have any correlation. Now, battery capacity and size with camera specification. Battery capacity and size, no. With CPU performance, no. RAM capacity, no. Storage capacity, no. Internet connectivity, chip spec, no. Customer support, no. So there are no correlation. I didn't establish any correlation. That is just based on me, just so that we move very fast. Once you have a seated session with your team, there will be back and forth arguments. You can take up the 6 Bono arts and try to get the proper responses to this correlation matrix. Now, phone power consumption is the next thing. Phone power consumption, which falls into the next box here. Phone power consumption. Is there a relationship between phone power consumption and OS design? Yes, definitely it has a positive correlation. So you give that a positive correlation. Now, if I work on my phone power consumption, if I try to reduce it now, it also determines, it is based on how well is my OS design. How well did I design my OS so that it will not make my phone consume more power? So that is a positive correlation, I would say. Now, moving next to phone power consumption and charger power rating. Phone power consumption and charger power rating has no correlation at all. So nothing goes here. Phone power consumption and camera specification, believe me, that has a positive relationship, I would say. The higher your camera spec, the more power it will consume. So no, that is a negative correlation. The higher your camera spec, the higher power it will consume. So if you are trying to reduce your phone power consumption, believe me, you are indirectly going to affect the camera performance also. So next on the list is phone power consumption with CPU performance. That is also a positive correlation. Phone power consumption with RAM capacity, no correlation. Storage capacity, no correlation. Internet connectivity chip spec. That is also giving us a positive relationship if we are going to see. And last but not the least, has no correlation. Now the next is OS design. OS design, what is the relationship between it and charger power rating? It has no relationship at all. OS design, what's the relationship between it and camera specification? Yes, it has a positive relationship, I would tell you. CPU performance, yes. OS design determines. Your RAM capacity, I would give it no correlation also. So my OS design and my internet connectivity chip spec, they would have a positive relationship, yes. The last one, no relationship at all. So we'll go ahead with that. The next is charger power rating and camera specification. It has no relationship, no correlation, sorry. Charger power rating and CPU performance, no correlation. RAM capacity, no correlation. Storage capacity, no correlation. Now the next is camera specification with CPU performance. That you agree with me as a positive correlation. Camera specification and RAM capacity also has a positive correlation. Camera specification, storage capacity, no correlation. Internet connectivity, chip specification, no correlation. Like that, no correlation. Just so that we can be very fast and end the session. That is why I'm going ahead with this. Now, RAM capacity is the next. CPU performance with RAM capacity will give it a positive correlation. CPU performance with storage capacity, no correlation. Internet connectivity, chip specification, positive correlation. And this, no correlation. So next is RAM capacity and storage capacity, no correlation. Internet connectivity chip specification. I will say no correlation, this, no correlation. Storage capacity and internet connectivity chip, no correlation, no correlation. Internet connectivity chip specification, customer support, no correlation. So far, so good. We've been able to give a correlation matrix to all the technical requirements. So I believe everyone was able to see what I did on my screen out there. So now, how do we now choose the minimum viable technical requirements to give to our customers themselves? So look at all the technical requirements. If we count the ones having high rating as regards positive correlation, now OS design is having a positive correlation with 3 other requirements. Phone power consumption is having a positive correlation with 3 other requirements. Camera spec, so the first 3, which is OS design. We're choosing it, which is already stating a 24% down below my screen. Next, that is having a positive correlation, a count of 3, is the phone power consumption, which is rated at 10%. Obviously, we'll have gone ahead to choose the 15% rating, which is internet connectivity to specification, but it's not giving me a correlation. So I first of all tackle that, which if I work on it, indirectly I'm working on 3 other aspects of my product. If I work on phone power consumption, I'm working on my CPU performance, I'm working on my internet connectivity chip specification, I'm working on my OS design automatically. So that is why I'm going this route. The next is camera specification, which is having 2 correlations, and the next is CPU performance, which you can see. So far, so good. We might have more technical requirements with more correlation matrix, but so far, so good. We've been able to pick 4 technical requirements that will serve and help us to give our customers the minimum viable product. So I think I've been able to explain this with a clear explanation, and I believe we all understand. So first on the list for our minimum viable product is stated as OS design. So OS design is first on the list. Next on the list is, sorry about that. Next on the list that we chose next was phone power consumption, followed by camera spec and CPU performance. Phone power consumption, camera spec, and CPU performance. So with this, I can say we've picked out the necessary technical requirements to give our customers requirements, to give them what exactly they will be satisfied with once they get the product. So we didn't just go ahead and picking technical requirements by the relative weightages. We did a correlation matrix, the direction of improvement, to establish a correlation that once I work on OS design, I'm working on 3 other things. Once I work on phone power consumption, I'm working on 3 other things. So at the end of the day, I'm working on these 4 things, and I'm already building a wholesome product. I'm building a product the customer wants. So with these few points, with this explanation, we've been able to decide the qualities of the phone you want as my customers, the minimum viable product, which is the phone you want. Based on your customer requirements, these are the 4 things in my technical requirements that my team needs to work on to improve the product for you. So let your questions start rolling in now, as I'll just take a few more minutes of your time and we'll wrap this up. Just let your questions come in. If you have questions, you can send them in. If you have doubts about the technical requirements, please just let your questions start rolling about the QFD as a whole. Please just let your questions start rolling. So someone is saying, sorry to take you back, I'm working while listening. How do you determine customer requirements and technical requirements? Yes, I already said that earlier. You use the Kano model for your customer requirements to prioritize them. You send out questionnaires also to your target audience. Technical requirements, as a subject matter expert, you sit down with your team and draft out your technical requirements so that you know what exactly are the features of this product that will help you to meet your customers' requirements. So let your questions start coming in. If you have any question, please just very quickly in 1 minute, let me answer the questions. If you have doubts as regards this model itself, the quality function deployment. Very quickly, if you have doubts. Thank you so much for this session. Thank you very much. If there are no questions, you permit me to move ahead and wrap up this session. So now, I already said this is an evolving market. It is an evolving market. The customers' wants are changing on a daily basis. There's a need for continuous improvement, which is what I do for a living, what I do in my current industry. I'm a process improvement engineer, a facilitator. So there's a need for continuous improvement, the Kaizen methodology. So you've adopted a product, you've been able to build a product, it is growing. Now it has reached the maturity point. If you don't do anything about it, your must be becomes a delighter, or they are indifferent about your must be, and you fail to do anything about it, your product, your service can begin to decline in the market. It can begin, so many failed products are there in the market. They are still making a lot of money. They've reached maturity points, but they are gradually losing their share of the market. They are losing out of the market. So you can see this innovation window never ends. You just have to keep innovating through design thinking. What else can we do to this product to make it wanted, to make the customers always crave for this product? So design thinking is something that we can never overemphasize. Innovation window has to come up at every stage. You have to look at your market. What are they saying? What do they want? I believe I've been able to explain everything as regards discovering the product the customer wants, from the flow of listening to your market. I told you the Nokia story and so many other things, prioritizing your customers' requirements. Also, some other things came. I can see a question coming in. Good morning. What would be the best decision to take? Okay, I answered that. Is this always a wholesome process or just a guess? Does it always translate to satisfying the customer, or there are a few exceptions? The QFD process is what I mean. Now, it's a wholesome process, I would say, because you are trying to, now for a new product, you cannot really say if it's going to satisfy the customer because you've not built it. Maybe from a failed product, yes, you might get feedbacks and try to implement a solution based on that. Now, the QFD just gives you what are these technical requirements that could meet your specific customer requirements. So it gives you a direction to follow so that you don't fall out of your cost budget. You don't fall out of trying to satisfy the customer and giving everything. At the end of the day, the product is too expensive and they cannot buy it. So that's the solution the QFD does in trying to scope your technical requirements to giving a minimum viable product to your customer. I believe I've been able to answer that question for you, Isaac. Next question, if there's any. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. So for now, I'll be handing over to my host so that we can wrap up this session if there are no more questions. There are questions, let them keep rolling in as we end the session today. Thank you very much. Design thinking, like I said, has to be a continuous process. Kaizen methodology has to be implemented every time. Innovation window never ends. So try as much as possible to always look at what your customers want. Your customer wants the maturity point of your product, so that your product doesn't get to a plateau and start declining. So growth has to be consistent. It has to be very consistent. New product, a growth strategy, an existing product, new product, everything has to be coming up at every point in time. So how easy is it to implement this system in small scale businesses? Now, for small scale businesses, believe me, you could actually draft out a questionnaire. A questionnaire is the easiest thing you can draft. I've sent out so many questionnaires for small businesses and startups I wanted to do. Questionnaires, you get responses from people. Now, the QFD is where you might have some issues. Look at the complexity of your process, of what you want to implement. List out whatsoever you feel you need personally to implement that. It could be you want to sell cakes. What are the things that will be needed before I can satisfy your customer? So you have to list out those technical requirements. You are your own, as a business owner, you are your own subject matter expert. You might have a partner which two of you can sit together and draft out your technical requirements. It's applicable to the service industry, applicable to the manufacturing industry, all around the world. So draft out your technical requirements before you go ahead to satisfying the responses that you prioritize based on Kano Model. So I believe I've been able to give you answers to that also. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'll be wrapping this up. You can join me, ask more questions if you want. Meet me on Twitter or LinkedIn, Ayomide Otokiti, or Martins Awojide, which is my host for today. So I'll be handing over back to my host for today just to wrap up the session. Thank you guys. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Okay, thanks everyone for being with us, and thanks Mr. Emide for running us through the content of today's webinar. I believe we have been able to present to everyone as much as possible a bit of structure to what discovering the product and building an MVP is like. In most cases, one might also have other questions that might extend or span other concepts relating to the same topic. So what I would say is try to reach out to us through our social media handles, through LinkedIn and through Twitter, and also give suggestions on what you feel the next webinar should be like, what topics you should go through. Thank you very much, and do have a good day.
Thank you very much to all that joined. Sorry for taking so much of your time. I really appreciate you guys for joining. So we can all call it a day. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys are my real G's. Thank you very much to my customers for today. I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm gonna take care of your life. You guys need to get out of the morning. Okay, we need to get back to work. We need to pack Brad's stuff up, and we need to get back to work.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. It's very insightful. Thank you. I'll leave a comment.
No problem, no problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Martins.
Give me how many people care and how many people take profit. So yeah, I just really like it. So okay, I'm so happy.
Hello, Martins. Alpha.
Hello, I am.
But
Hi
they're
there.
all right.
Oh, Adwait says hi. But
Alpha.
I messed up now. I messed up big time.
How?
That intro was not what I planned at all. It was like 20% of the actual intro. A lot of things I missed out on because I didn't speed that those guys were doing NIN registration
You
at
supposed
the same
flog them
time.
in.
Like they were starting exactly at 10. Initially, I was like, I'll pull it, I'll just do the introduction, then move after. It was 10 o'clock, those guys came on dots, brought in their systems into that particular place. I just had to leave for them because a lot of people now, I would like to tell them to shut up. Even now, there's still noise here. That's the reason why I even rushed the one when I got here. I just rushed it. So I
Oh,
was
yeah, it
hearing a
was
whole
good.
lot
It
of
was good.
noise.
Hope I didn't sound nervous.
No. Look at this coconut head here. You didn't. You
What's
did
that?
well. You did well. And I told you it was going to be like 1 hour 30 minutes based on the content. And you actually beat 1 hour 30 minutes. You got like 1 hour 20, which is cool.
I didn't want to rush it too much. Someone is telling me that I should send the list of all those that give comments. They have giveaway for them.
You have to do what?
They have giveaway for them.
Who said so?
Someone just sent me a message.
The full stack guys.
I don't even know. They have giveaway.
No, you need to know who the person is because you can't just give out people's information that way.
Okay, let me see. Okay, a friend of mine. A friend of mine actually. Let's see. That's send a list of those that give comments. List and names. Let me check. Question and answer for the section. Isaac is my real Geo.
I've been chatting with Isaac all through, like at the
Yeah,
answer,
we did
after the
chat too,
questions he
sha.
gave, like the answers he gave, I still had to give him some other answers. What?
And you say I know if you waste too much time.
I didn't, yeah, I noticed. Naturally, what should have happened is that you were not supposed to answer the questions directly. Like you were supposed to leave that to me to answer those questions so that you can stay focused. That was supposed to be like that would have been the best course of action. And all those times you had breaks, I noticed you were still answering questions. The best thing would have been you turn off the video, take a sip of water or something, so that you don't gas out like you did somewhere in between. Then I will just answer the questions on your behalf. That would have been the best bet. I noticed at some point you felt like you were overworked, you were not really that calm. And I think it boils down to that. And so next time, use those periods, just chill off. The new questions are coming in now, just help you out with that. Oh, and apologies for that slight error.
So nobody else.
The one with the key of the answers. It was during time I was worrying that I penned down that I didn't know I was putting customer requirements instead of technical requirements.
I was so confused when I was seeing it.
Yeah, I noticed the moment you were like walking from back, I was like, something is wrong. I had to check and I saw it. I was like, whoa. I won't send you some messages on WhatsApp, but I felt those ones were panic messages. So I just had to
I
delete
could not
them.
understand, so I didn't want to cause any confusion.
What really happened was if you followed the order, there was nothing wrong. But if you
Yeah,
check the
but I
names,
was looking at it, so I
it was
wanted to know
off.
if I'm still on the same page.
So my pasting it back, normally I wouldn't have bothered so much.
It's all good. So we
I
look
wouldn't have
forward to
bothered so much,
what next.
but I didn't want to confuse the attendance, people attending. That's the main reason why I just posted it, just a correction made, and we're good to go. So it's cool. Hopefully they will be the ones to suggest the next one, and whenever we have time, we'll put it up together. But that's the problem. Who has time yet? Nobody does.
No worry, great time. I'm sure nobody believes we could push out something like this despite the title of work schedule.
Oh, and my theory worked.
Hmm?
60 people registered, as you said last night, but roughly 28 or so attended.
30 people were constantly there for a very long period of time. 30, 31, 30, 31, 30, 31.
But I told you that if 100 people register, only 50 will attend, which is like 50% still.
That was actually a very good turnover.
Yeah, I
Very
won't
good
argue with
turnover.
that. It's actually quite
Yes,
good.
I was thinking maybe just 10 people is what I would see. And they were
Many even
actually
zero
there.
attended. Shit.
And they were actually there. Like,
Yeah,
not as if
they were active.
It's all good. I'm making progress. Let's see where, at least thank God, we finish this one. Now make I go back to work. They don't send me message for work.
Yeah, me too. I'm heading back now.
Yeah, we'll talk later in the evening. No issues.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Problem.